Hello, everybody, and welcome to Politics Relax. I'm here in Florida, and today we're talking about the man who lives in Florida, the former president, Donald Trump, and what's been going on. I am going to go inside now, but hope you enjoyed the beautiful views and the live shot. So, let's get started. It's quite hard to... Hang on. There we go. Let's get started. Obviously, Donald Trump was indicted and then brought into court for 34 felony counts of fraud. So let's get started. What does this mean? Does anybody want to get started?
Well, I've got all the details here. So, on Tuesday, President Trump went to court where he was arrested and charged with 34 felony counts of fraud. These charges relate to $130,000, that's £105,000 payment he made to buy the silence of an adult film actor, Stormy Daniels, who says she had relations with him. The wire transfer came 12 days before the 2016 election that Mr. Trump, quote-unquote, won against Hillary Clinton. He was released by the court and flew back to his Florida home, quite close to Phoenix, where he made a big speech slamming the whole process on Tuesday evening.
Yeah. I mean, what does this mean? Does anybody, I don't know, want to go in on what this means for his election hopes in 2024? He obviously has declared he's running, right? Has he?
Well, the people who support Trump will not be moved by his indictment at all. At least for the most part, I would argue. There may still be some moderates who would consider voting for him, but that just seems to be declining with every move he makes. His core base will continue to support him with the couple of personality that he's developed, and yeah, they're not going to be dissuaded from that. But that group is not enough to win an election by, as we we saw in 2020 that his support was was mainly from that group, and of course he had more votes then because he was both January 6th and this indictment had not yet occurred, so he could still get a few more moderate votes then. But now that's even more impossible. So yeah, he can still win the Republican nomination. I don't see him winning the presidency.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually out. We had a great reporter out on the streets of Miami, speaking to voters, and I don't know. Let's play that clip.
I'm from Montreal. My name is Michael.
Yeah. Can I ask what you think about Trump's recent indictment?
Really want my answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Trump should never be there anyways.
Never be what?
No, should never be back in politics.
Why is that?
Because of what he's done in the past. Because I don't think he's going to help U.S. anyways.
I mean, for the next election, who do you think would be best to win it?
Trump?
Who do you want to win?
I'm trying to remember his name, the Florida state governor.
Ron DeSantis.
Yes.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think the Democrats are not doing a very good job right now since they've been elected. And for the Republicans, I think he'd be the best guy.
Thanks so much.
My name is Naya, and I'm from Miami.
Nice. Okay. If you were to sum up American politics in a minute, how would you kind of do that?
They hide stuff, a lot of stuff from us. They don't tell us anything for real. And the real ones that know for real, they know what's going on. But they make us seem like we're crazy because what the stuff we're saying, and it's true. And they make it seem like it's not true, and it's really true.
What about Trump and the minute he's been in? You love Trump?
I love him because he gave me money, a lot.
Really?
He made me a lot.
What about the indictment? How he recently got arrested? What do you think about that?
Oh, when he got arrested? That was funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Funny?
It was really funny.
Yeah. All right. In the next election, who do you want to win? Who do you want to become the next president? Trump?
Yes. Again, because he made me money. So if he could come back, he could do stuff. And another thing, when he was president, he told us a lot that we did not know. You know what I'm saying? And he was really exposing the world. Turn this on me. Make sure they see. He was really exposing the world, and they didn't like that, so they made him not president no more.
Just being indicted and arrested. What do you think about that?
32 count.
That's right.
32 count?
think it was 34.
32 counts of felony. Felony. No battery. He ain't getting off this one, boy. He's going to jail. I don't care.
You think he will? He's 75 years old. That poor man.
Take the fucking Supreme Court. Gives a shit how old he is.
What about the presidential election? What do you think? Who would you like to see?
So the candidate, what would be the next candidate besides Donald? And
I don't know.
There's Ron DeSantis. There's
Ronnie? Too young.
Yeah,
45.
Nah, he's not too young.
He's not that old. 45 years old, governor of Florida.
He's not that old
No.
to be president.
He could be, yes, he could. He could.
Yeah, well, of course.
Thank you very much. What great reporting as always. And I mean, talking to people, you can hear that they have support, not for Donald Trump, but instead for the governor of Florida. And I do think that he could very well win the nomination now, and maybe go on to win the presidency, because Joe Biden still is not looking particularly popular at this moment in time.
I think there's a sense that Trump does feel that, I guess, the sun is really setting on his political career, and he is trying to make, I guess, a last-ditch attempt to kind of reassert some form of dominance. But the truth is that that kind of strongman act that he had in 2016, and I guess you could say 2020, is firmly gone now. To kind of have that image of, I am this strong leader, but I'm also a victim of the establishment, I think doesn't work for most voters. And
especially given he is a creature of the establishment.
Yeah, that's the whole notion of being a populist, is that, you stop becoming a populist when you win the presidency.
Yes.
And because America has a different political culture, people aren't going to have their heads turned so easily. But the way America works, I should say, does lie in those swing states, so like Pennsylvania, let's say Arizona and stuff like that. And while they did win, the Democrats did win, there is some kind of contention around those areas. You saw people, I think Carrie Lake kind of quite close to becoming governor of Arizona at the midterms, and there was kind of close races in Pennsylvania and Michigan and all that stuff. So, but if we want to talk about Trump versus DeSantis, while poll numbers would suggest that Trump is still quite high, I think DeSantis does have a real good chance now, and he needs to make a move sooner rather than later to capitalize on the massive open goal that's been given through this indictment process.
Absolutely. He has a very similar base to Trump. He's got the evangelical Christian right. He's got the reactionary right, who have seen everything they stand for crumbling away for quite some time now. DeSantis has a really good shot here, and he really shouldn't wait. I mean, I'm not a fan of the chat personally. I think he should waste it, but he politically for himself, he really can't waste this opportunity.
I think there is a case to say, though, that Trump can be strengthened by the indictment. I think there's certainly a strong message you can take out of it, and even the more moderate Republicans are calling this kind of a political trial, a political sham, and that is a strong message for Trump. Like, look at this, the establishment has attacked me, and I'm fighting for the little man, and I do think that could be a strong message for Trump, and I think there is definitely a case to say that this indictment will strengthen him. I mean, he's already in a pretty weak position. I think out of January 6th, especially, I think he's lost so much support. But I think this could certainly be a stronger point in the campaign for Trump. But I still don't see him winning the presidency. No way. But I think it could be a stronger point for Trump.
I mean, I think we're all quite annoyed and done with the parallels being drawn between Trump and our former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, but there are very similar stories happening here. They're both on trial. Well, for Boris Johnson, a trial of sort, trial within Parliament. They both have very emphatic female colleagues who are backing them up all over the media, being Nadine Dorries and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. And on both sides, there are people saying there is no way these people will be found innocent because the establishment hates them. It is basically the same story. It's baffling that they're happening at the same time.
I think Trump said something during his presidential campaign in 2016 where he was like, I could shoot a guy down Fifth Avenue and still become president. I think
Yes.
it's such an important quote that still applies to now, because the
Hmm.
Republican Party has got to this cult-like manner that Trump can do any form of, scandal and misbehavior and still retain that amount of support. I mean, if you're looking from the outside in, DeSantis needs something monumental to shift to guarantee him the Republican nomination. But I think we in the UK we sometimes look at America with a bit of wonder. It can be so unpredictable at times. I mean, if you were to look at the presidential elections are only next year, and we've got no clue who will win. I mean, there's no clue, no guarantee that Joe Biden will even stand, for example. That just goes to show how divided and polarized the whole thing is.
Well, I
Yeah.
think one thing's for certain: Bernie Sanders will be running,
Well,
as he has
How
every
old-
election
how old
for
is
the
he
past
now?
50 years. Oh, God knows, possibly older than Biden.
he's
Oh,
he's older
yeah.
than Biden. Yeah, I think he's like 83 or something.
Jeez.
I
Yeah,
definitely
so-
I definitely agree though with Finley that it's still wide open. It's open for anybody to come out, and we might not even have mentioned the person that could go on to win the presidency yet. I mean, it is wide open, and I think Trump still. I mean, he still has a chance. I think Biden still obviously has a chance, and I think DeSantis obviously still has a chance, but. I don't think any of them have a kind of grip on the presidency yet, by any stretch of the imagination. And I think
I completely disagree. Absolutely, entirely disagree. I think
Ooh.
Biden has no chance at all. First of all, he, as much as I hate to say it, personality does matter for the American presidency, and people don't like him. They simply don't. He came out with this whole Green New Deal agenda, and then he signed off on a new coal mine and a coal project. He does not have what he needs. People aren't as impressed as they thought they would be. I don't think Trump has a chance, and I think Ronald DeSantis will be the next president of the United States. He's much harsher than Trump, and
I
they
think
like
it's just
it.
his platform of cult. His main platform, he's said this in interviews, is to run on culture wars, like trans issues and this whole Disney stuff that we saw a couple of years ago. And I think if you're a voter in, say, like these states we're talking about, Pennsylvania and Michigan and stuff like that, I mean, hearing DeSantis say, "Oh, we're going to fight on trans and woke," I think that's just so 2016 and so just last decade, for example. And will that appeal to people? I don't know. I think I do agree that the the way to tell the presidency does lie within the Republican side of things. I think that battle between Trump and DeSantis is incredibly important for looking how for seeing how America's going to look for the next potentially 8 years, for example.
I'm just not sure you can put such an ironclad guarantee on DeSantis
Yeah.
winning. I mean, you look at the polling right now for the primaries in the Republican Party. I mean, DeSantis on the latest one polling at 20%, but in most polling at 30% compared to Trump, who stayed pretty solid around the 55% mark. Something has to change here for DeSantis if we think he's going to win so easily. I don't think you can say that.
It'll likely be him announcing his
Yeah, that'll
that'll
definitely increase
get
his
him.
numbers.
Oh.
I think DeSantis has a good chance of becoming president. The biggest hurdle, I would argue, is for primaries to see what Trump throws at him, and well, any other candidates, because there will be quite a few. I mean, we remember 2016, how many Republican candidates there were.
Jeb Bush 24. Come on.
Exactly, and 2020 with a number of Democratic candidates. If it comes down to an election between Biden and DeSantis, I think that's a much more winnable election for DeSantis than 2020 was for Trump. And but I wouldn't eliminate Biden as quickly as Mirage did either, because his record is I mean, it's just not not the worst that we've seen. Which when we're talking about American politics, we do sort of have to deal with negatives in terms of performances of presidents. And while and it's just he's not great, but
he certainly had a boost recently. I think he's been doing doing slightly better. And I mean, I think the first year or two of his presidency, he was not particularly strong, but I think since then he has improved as a president. And I mean, in a system where it's designed to not get things done, Joe Biden has at least got something done. And I think he's a very strong operator when it comes to Congress. So I agree. I don't think we can write him off completely yet. And I also think it'll be interesting to see if he does run. How many Democrats will try to challenge him for the spot to run for president? Because I mean, in the past, obviously, when you have an incumbent president running, generally everybody steps down and pretty much lets them win.
Yeah, that's not going to happen this time. There'll be challenges.
I mean, it'll be really interesting to see the type of candidates that will potentially run, because I think AOC, like maybe Kamala Harris, maybe that would cause a rift between her and the president. So yeah, it's very open, but I will say that Joe Biden in 2020 ran on a platform that was a mixture of anti-Trump and I guess COVID mainly. I think many people were growing dissatisfied with Trump's response to COVID, and that let Biden in. He doesn't necessarily have that anymore, and especially with like, I wouldn't call it growing apathy, but there is discontentment there for the US's involvement in Ukraine as well, which
absolutely
I think could play into the hands of the Republicans, whether that be DeSantis, Trump, or this third party figure.
In a way, I don't want Biden to run. I feel like he's not particularly popular, as we've already mentioned, but I think there are strong candidates. I think we saw last time when in the Democratic primaries, we saw a lot of strong candidates come out for president. I certainly think there are people within the Democratic Party that are ready to take up the role of president and of the Democratic candidate that are not Joe Biden. And I think.
I disagree with that. I mean, in 2020, I looked at the list of people and those names I mentioned again, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders and stuff like that, and I don't see anyone that screams presidential to me, either Republican or Democrat, and then it goes for the Republicans as well.
I think someone who's shone-ish, had his time in the sun over the past few years, was Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He was recalled because people really weren't happy with him, but he came back.
He's too unpopular in California. He's let alone to go for president. I see him making a bid. I don't see him beating Biden.
I hope it's I really hope it's a progressive. Obviously I do. But
I don't think it can be.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think it can be. I don't think America's in a place for wanting that right now.
Yeah.
Possibly.
If it's a progressive, that puts DeSantis in a big bonus position.
Yeah, I still want. I would really. I mean, I would still love to see Bernie Sanders as president. I know he's too old.
Biden's issue.
I know there's so many problems, but I really would.
Biden's biggest issue is invariably his age. I mean, and there's nothing he can do about that. He's 80 years old. He's 80 years old now. He'd be 80, 86.
He's 80 now. Definitely.
Yeah, he's 80 years old now. I mean, you can't. He's going to be like in his mid 80s by the end of his.
That argument, I don't think it does work, because Trump's something like 75 or something.
That's true, but Trump still projects like he seems to be quite like a pretty active speaker. But with Biden, you've got like these like YouTube compilations of Biden like brainless moments of him just So that's Biden's issue. The economy as well. It's not at its best, but I think it is improving from last year, although slowly. Foreign policy, we mentioned Ukraine. That is becoming more and more of a contention, but that is mainly with right-wing Republicans, and Biden's got no hope with them. Although a bit with progressives as well. And the withdrawal from Afghanistan, that won't make a big issue, because I think Americans were secretly relieved about that, even if it was a bit of a debacle in the end.
I'd also just hesitate on kind of writing Biden off completely as well, because I mean, you look at the midterms and everybody was like, oh well, the Republicans are going to have a surge, they're going to have a red wall, and they're going to win both houses,
including yourself.
Yeah, including myself. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I mean, everybody wrote off the Democrats, and then they came back and didn't have a terrible performance for a midterm with the Democratic president. And so
Yeah,
I don't think we can just say, well, look at the polls, Biden's not doing very well. I do think he still has a chance, but that chance is not particularly massive, and I think DeSantis would probably win against Biden if the election were to happen right now. But I mean, he still has a year in his presidency as well. So yeah.
I will say this concept of being presidential, I think, matters extremely to someone like me. And I mean, make of this what you will, but I think during times in his presidency, I think Biden has showed some parts of being presidential, and that comes with his long experience in politics. Yeah, he has these stammers and moments of brain farts and stuff like that, but I think compared to I mean, I don't know if DeSantis is if this is just because he's a younger candidate, but I think when I look at being a president, I see Biden fitting that more than certainly Trump and kind of DeSantis as well. But my mind might be changed over that because he is a virtual unknown at this point.
I do think Biden's experience does bode him well because obviously he was in Congress for ages. He was then vice president, and he's a recognizable figure and has been for a long time, and is, I think, very good at working the political system in Washington, which I'm not sure if DeSantis will be able to do. I think him as a younger candidate and somebody with less experience, that will probably work against him. So coming to you live from Florida, this has been Politics Relaxed. As always, like the video, subscribe. Thank you to you guys for coming along. As always, we'll see you soon.